Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Raphael's Coding Club. If you are diving into Python development, you know that writing code is just half the battle. Bugs can sneak it anywhere, and that's where unit testing comes to the rescue. It's like a bodyguard for your functions. Okay, so today in this quick tutorial, we are breaking down how to unit test a function in Python from scratch. We'll cover the basics with Python, PyTest, package specially dedicated to unit testing in Python. By the end, you'll be able to write tests that catch errors, bugs before they crash your app. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We drop Python tips every week. Okay, so let's jump in. Today we have a small function called fizzbuzz. What does this function do? It's simply a function that will print different strings to the standard output depending on the integer you pass to the function. Let's test that. For example, if I send fizzbuzz with 15, it should print fizzbuzz. Let's try. Up. Yeah, I'm running my command. I don't need -m. Up. It printed fizzbuzz. Okay, now if I need to print fizz, I just send a multiple of 3, for example 3, and it should work. Up, if I set, okay, if I print it's fizz, it's correct. And now if I send something multiple of 5, it should print buzz. Up, I didn't save. Up, it printed buzz. And the last case here is if we pass something that is not a multiple of 3 or 5, it should print the value we directly gave to the function. Let's give 2, and it should print 2. Up, it printed 2. Okay, nice. So it's working. Now we want to unit test this function. How to do that? Okay, so here I opened a new script, a new Python file. Up, let's clear that. With this Python file, we want to import PyTest. Up, to be able to test our functions. We want also to be able to mock functions. More on that later. So we need for that to import PyTest mock. Up. Here you can see I have suggestion. It's because I'm using Cursor. You can download it for free. So just I will try to write everything myself. Up. So first, we want to test the first case. We want to see if this part is checked by if it's working properly and if fizzbuzz is correctly printed. So we need to import our function. So the path to this function is lib. So I imported my function as suggested by Cursor. Now I just want to test the case fizzbuzz. Let's name our function fizzbuzz, because I want to test that fizzbuzz is correctly printed. Here I'm adding type int. It's completely optional for unit tests. You don't need that, but it's better to have type ints in your code when you are writing code. It's more maintainable, more understandable by other developers. Okay, first case. If we give something multiple of 3 and 5, it should print fizzbuzz. So let's write the assert statement here. Let's call the function we have imported. If we give 15, it should print fizzbuzz. Up. But how can we check that it was correctly printed? Because if we do this, it won't work actually, because there is no return for our function. Here the return is none. So we want to check that the print is called with the correct argument. So here it's not that we want to test, but we want to test the call to the function print. So what we need here is mocker, which is a fixture given by PyTest mock. So the type is a mocker fixture. You can import it, and we want to actually check that the print function is called. You have two ways of doing that. You can either patch this print function and check that it's called, or you can just do the actual call with a spy and check that the correct argument is passed to the function. Let's say we want to patch. Here you have directly the suggestion by cursor. It tells you Mocker fixture, please patch this pass. So actually it will intercept and call to this function, and it won't call the actual logic. So it's interesting. For example, let's say you have to download a file from an URL with this kind of logic. The actual call won't be done. Sorry. So with that, it's a way to just check that you call the correct arguments with the correct function with the correct arguments. So let's call fizzbuzz 15 as suggested by cursor here. And what we want to do, we want to assert that the mocked function was called with the correct arguments. So it should be here. It should be called with. We should have prints called with fizzbuzz. Okay, let's check this test. Up. If I do this pytest unit test lib, so it's our test module with it will call all the functions declared in this module. So currently we just have one function. Let's try more on this about coverage later. Up. So let's try not our test, and here we have one test passed in a small amount of time. So our test is working now. Okay, we want to ensure that all code branch of our function are tested. So let's try now to test this part of the code. We want to declare a test called test fizz, because it's testing. We are currently calling the fizz branch here. We will use the fixture mocker, and it won't return anything. Here you can just accept what cursor will give you. I think it will be correct. Okay, fizzbuzz 3, it will work here because it's a multiple of 3. And you do mock print assert called with fizz. And up, let's see if we have the expected result. I run again the test, and now we have 2 passing tests. For example, if you check with a test that won't work, you can just change this, and you will see up you have incorrect statement here, because asserts see the call of the function with 2 didn't print fizz, but it printed something else. Okay, so let's revert back. Now we want to test the case. Well, you have understood. If you just accept the suggestion from cursor, up, normally it should print. It should work for all code branches. Up. Okay, we have our 4 tests that are working. Now, when you test a function, you want to ensure that all lines are covered to make sure that all your logic is tested. How can you ensure that? You have to install what's called the coverage library, pytestcov. Up. If I search up, I installed it before. Sorry, it's here. Up. You can install your coverage library pytestcom, and it will ensure that you have the coverage function. And now you can call your test module with the correct options to see that you want to check the coverage for everything that is in the lib module. So that's why we provide lib here. And you want an HTML report to better visualize what lines are covered or not. And it will display something like this. We have our wall function, which is covered because all lines are not in red here. So if you want to check what would be coverage without with code lines of code missing, let's try again. You can do this. Up, send command. Now you refresh. You refresh, and you see this branch is not covered. All right. One last thing, we can also use what's called test parameterization, because here you see we have written a lot of redundant logic, you can improve that using what's called pytest.mark those dot parameterize. Here you have input, expected, and then what you will provide. So for example, here we have in input, we will have 15 for the first test, and we want the expected call to print should be fizzbuzz. So here you can accept the suggestion, and you will see that if we remove all the tests here, up, we will have up our test running. So I forgot actually you have to provide the arguments to the test method. I run it again, up, and here you can see we still have 4 tests, and the coverage is should be 100%, and it's not the case now. Let's see why. Up, we have up. If I refresh, okay, what's happening here? So we are giving 15. It should be fizzbuzz. Okay, and here I forgot actually to change my test function, of course. So I give input up. I give input. For the first test, input would be 15. The expected should be fizzbuzz. For the second test, input would be 3. The expected value should be fizz, and so on. So let me try again. Up. We still have 4 tests, and now coverage is 100%. And here you go. You have everything that's needed to unit test your function. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it's the case, please subscribe to the channel, and see you again later. Bye bye.